This tutorial is going to talk you through some more of the bubble exercises, starting with exercise 6.29, I believe. And they want you to look at the space, the space, and to create what they call the setup method. Well, the setup method is really just going to be what we would do if we created manually a few bubbles and put them on the screen. And if I do my shift click, and I have lots of bubbles, and I right click and click save, you guys should know by now that then in the space it's going to create what's called a prepare method. Well, that's basically what they're wanting you to do, is to write this prepare method, okay? Well, it gets kind of cumbersome if you take a look at this prepare method, because you've got bubble, bubble 2, bubble 3, bubble 4, bubble 5, bubble 6, etc. And they're creating a new bubble, and they are generating, because I clicked them on certain portions of the screen, it picked up the location on the screen where I placed it. Well, if I actually had to do this manually all the time, it gets to be overwhelming. So what they want you to do is to create a setup method, and that setup method that they want you to create is going to create 21 bubbles, and it's going to be located at the center of the screen. So I'm not going to do the whole exercise, but we're going to get you started on it. So a couple of things. They are calling their method setup. It's virtually the same as our prepare, just so that you're aware of that. I'm going to comment out the prepare method. We are going to want to call then the setup method. So I need to have my method call. It's going to call setup, and here's where I want to create 21 bubbles. I am actually just going to create one bubble, and I'm going to copy the code from below, paste that in, and let's see what we got. So if I want to create my bubbles on the fly, so to speak, or just without having to create or do this extra code here, remember that you could also do something like the following. I can add an object, and then left parens, I can do new bubble parens, and then I could pick a location on the screen. Let's say 250, 120. And if I did that, and I comment out these those two lines, I'm going to add an object. It's going to be a new bubble at this location, and there's my bubble. If I right click and inspect it, it's at 250, 120. Okay, so I can have, or I can create an automatic generation of that bubble when my code shows back up. When I created that one automatically, I manually placed it. We also want to try to automate that portion of the code. They say they want it located at the center of the screen. If I look at my screen size, it's 900 by 600. So I could just divide that in half. 900 divided by 2 is 450. 600 divided by 2 is 300. And then if I compile that, I'm going to get a bubble that's in the middle of my world. However, if I resize this screen, it's no longer going to be in the middle of my world. So I want something that's going to be kind of automatic. And so there is some commands in the back of your textbook. If you look at the appendix in the back, that shows all the commands for the different worlds. It's what they call the Greenfoot Api. I usually find the Greenfoot Api by Googling it. So let's try that. So I have to just type in Greenfoot API, and it comes up with the link, and this is my API. Every method that's available to an actor is shown here, and as you start to develop your games, you're going to be looking at some of these. I want to look at what's available in a world. So if I scroll down, because I'm working in a world right now, I can see there's a get height method and there's a get width. Height is going to be my Y's, width will be my X's. So when I go back to my code, rather than doing 450, I'm going to get the width. It's a method, so I have to have parens. I'm going to divide it by 2, comma. And likewise, I'm going to get the height and divide it by 2. So because it was a method, I need to have those parameters in there. that's going to create a bubble. And actually I'm going to try 2 of them, one right after another, and see if I can get 2 bubbles on the screen. So I'm going to add the objects, 2 bubbles to the screen, and see if that works. And because they are different colors, different sizes, I can see that they're actually there. There's one bubble and there's the other bubble. Okay, one was over the top of the other one. If I reset, I got a different pair, and reset, etc. Now, they are wanting you to do that 21 times, but they're also not wanting you to copy and paste that code 21 times. So your job is going to be to use a while loop. And actually on this particular one, I don't know if it says you have to use a while loop. Yes, it does. So you have to use a while loop to create 21 bubbles that are located at the center of the screen. You want to comment that in, that's 6.29, into your code. And then the next exercise that you will do after you get that one done, comment into your code 6.30. You're going to place 21 bubbles. You are going to place them at random locations in the world. So that's exercise 29 and exercise 30. Then we get into exercise 31 and 32, which are slightly different, so I'm going to put those into a different video.